We're live. No intro. We're all right here. We have. Oh, do we have a Wisteria with us?
Hello, are we live? I don't
Yes.
see.
Yes. Yes.
No.
You're
On
live
Twitch?
on Twitch. Wow. And YouTube.
Why doesn't it show?
What Gaiman and crew.
Oh, it took a bit.
Yeah, it takes a bit. Yeah. So
I'm here
amazing,
with the panic. Hi.
amazing intro we have here. Questioning whether anything's actually working.
Really, when you don't have an intro, really sound just dropped us from a UFO and we are like on the ground.
Stunned. All right.
Yeah.
So what are we doing today? We're gonna go through some comic books, some more than comic books, and we're gonna see if we can tie our first comic book to our destinies. So, let me. My nose is all ticklish from your ears.
It's a me problem now.
Let me see if we can adjust this. There we go. That way I won't sneeze.
So you want to tie stories to destinies? Let's see if you can tie you back to the tree.
Well, yeah, it might tie back to the tree. Just might. And this isn't just going to be random. This is,
Planned too.
well, not even planned, but we'll just kind of see where it goes. Walk any path in Destiny's garden, and you will be forced to choose not once but many times. The paths fork and divide with each step you take through Destiny's garden. You make a choice, and every choice determines future paths. However, at the end of a lifetime of walking, you might look back and see only one path stretching out behind you, or look ahead and see only darkness. That's pretty deep, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what this is from?
No. The Bible.
From
Almost.
Sandman, Season of Mists. This is
Oh.
volume 4 of the Sandman series.
I see.
Hold on a second. Can you entertain our guests?
Interictane.
Yes.
Yeah. So I also wanted to contribute to the comics topic today, but in terms of contributing, I did not do much because I have an explanation. I really liked this comic from when I was a kid, and I could barely remember what was in it, but I just knew that I liked it. And then I tried to look it up. I could barely find it in Romanian. Apparently, it's like a European run of the comic. It was with Tom and Jerry, and it was in Romania and in Norway and Sweden and Italy. And then I could find the Norwegian versions of the title. But then I'm wondering, like, who made these? Because they were not in the US, not under any kind of number. So I'm just always wondering
There,
who decides where and how to distribute these stories, and why would they be landing better with the European kids? Yeah, so the story itself was about um the whole Lord of the Rings series, and all these characters like the Tom and Jerry and the little gray mouse, which I don't know its name, and these like dog looking creatures and random cats. They were all reenacting Lord of the Rings, basically, where Jerry was Frodo. And I don't know exactly what Tom was doing. I think he was supposed to be Sauron, but yeah. But something I really, really liked from this comic was that they had like short stories, and that short story was about a skeleton looking creature like a grim reaper. He had a pet. It was like a pet raven, and it was a baby, but it was also dead. It was a skeleton, so it had this huge beak and small bony body, and it was so cute. And his name was Lil Beak, and he was acting like a rapper. And then that was my favorite story, and I liked it so much, and I wanted to share it with the kids on the playground. And as soon as I brought it up and I brought the comics so they can see the skeleton characters, I was excluded from playing with anybody. I guess I freaked people out, and I truly don't know why, because it was a cute story. Not everybody's cup of tea, though.
I'm juggling a lot here. Apologies.
It's okay, you are always juggling things.
Yep. So you told him all about the Tom and Jerry Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, and how nobody else played with me after they found my comic tastes. Tough crowd, isn't it?
Yeah.
Were you ever judged based upon your reading habits?
No, not really. Um, so that was your first comic?
Not my first, but I did not have access to many comics, and these were the only ones that my mom would be able to get from like these newspaper little shops, and I would get whatever was the most colorful and the newest thing in the stash there. So I used to get like princess spin-off stories and Tom and Jerry a lot, and some sort of like Scooby-Doo magazines. Now those were it. So in terms of diversity, I did not have much to choose from, but I rediscovered the world of comics through you, Wismar.
Yeah.
You
How
bought
so?
me a you bought me a comic while I was there. We were at the game store and you were gaming with the boys, and then I made myself busy, and I found a comic that was called It's Jeff, and it was cute, and I walked over to you and I said, please.
Yeah. Um, Let me move my camera. There we go. Whoa. It's almost like we haven't streamed in 2 months.
It's not 2 months, it's from the beloved show that we were milking.
2 weeks?
About 2 weeks. We did not stream after Eurovision, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
So I have a question for you. Have you been enjoying just exploring the comic world with me, as you were showing me a bunch of things, and then you got into collecting these vintage comics and we were going through them? Is it nice to share it with somebody, because you were into comics for a long time?
Yeah. So I guess there was a period where I kind of fell out, kind of like the same with Dungeons and Dragons. But the what rekindled it for me was just seeing a picture on Twitter. Um, so I'll come back to this here with Sandman, and we'll jump over to what I saw on Twitter.
But can you say why you fell out of love with comics?
I didn't fall out of love. It was just I had other distractions.
Because I know that with D&D, there were like things happening with the game that you didn't like, and I thought that was the same with comics.
No. Well, actually, yeah. Yeah, you're right, there is. Around 2012, a lot of the comics that I used to enjoy really fell off, and they weren't well written anymore, and just couldn't relate to them. Why is this? Oh, wrong. There we go. So it was somewhere in here, this Sword and Sorcery comics from Warden Publishing. It had the artwork of Esteban Maroto. List the artists in here.
No.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, one artist, Esteban Maroto. And it just seemed like there was a lost jigsaw piece of pop culture that just kind of disappeared. Like, you see this comic book art is amazing. And I think it is a collection of a lot of Esteban Maroto's art. And just look at those backgrounds and that ink work.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now I see your inspirations from where you want to work.
And even when I was, reading comics as a kid, I never saw artwork like this. This was before my time. And I guess I just had to do a deep dive and see what I had been missing, because these stories were well written. A lot of them have to do with folklore and mythology, and that was actually what sort of rekindled my comic book reading as a teenager. And that's when I got into Sandman. It's Neil Gaiman. So what really stood out to me was that it has all of these references to like great literature, and this has lots of references to Shakespeare. And here they're talking about the Court of Fairy. But I think I've actually got a Shakespeare where this character, Dream, meets Shakespeare and kind of inspires him through dreams. Might be in this one.
It kind of ties together everything that you like. The land of dreaming, good stories, good art, edgy characters.
Yeah, and check out this dude with antlers.
Wow. If that's not parallel universe Wismore.
Yeah, and so this is actually Claricon, which is a real thing from Irish mythology. It's similar to a leprechaun, but Claricons are always drunk. But rather than being happy-go-lucky, they're kind of surly. So there's all kinds of weird connections in these Sandman books, and I didn't realize up until reading Sandman that there could be like serious adult literature, like mature literature, not XXX literature.
Yeah. But did you have these books? I don't remember them.
Yeah, I've had these since I got into them when I was at university. So I discovered them as the graphic novels, and I started collecting them. And I didn't realize how old they were when I was reading them. But these stories go back to like 1985. Let's see if we have any notes here. So this was printed itself in 95, which was many years before I was even reading it. So I just didn't understand that this kind of comics existed throughout the 80s, even into the early 80s with the DC Comics Vertigo imprint.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of brings us back around to the things that I'm enjoying right now. Actually, let's rewind. Let's reset this up. And
Rewind time.
yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but I have a video I want to share.
It's okay.
No, you kind of need to hear it. So let me.
I will hear it from stream.
Okay.
Pops this off the top of her head. Specifically, Sandman Volume 2, Number 6, 24 Hours. One of the most well-crafted and paced issues of the most brilliant comic series of all time.
There you go. So this is an interview with Heather Antos, and the interviewer is asking her if she remembers her first comic book she ever read.
Not to mention one of the most horrifying. What Gaiman and crew were able to do in 24 simple pages was so captivating, gut-wrenching, and powerful. I wanted to do that.
You enjoy his voice acting abilities?
Yeah.
The fuck are you talking about, bitch?
Lola, I didn't
Okay,
realize that
so-
was in there.
I got this off a spinner rack.
So this guy really doesn't like Heather Antos, but I wanted to see these different people that are in the comic book industries and their first comics and how it actually determined their own destiny, which is where we started off with the Sandman comic talking about Destiny's Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll let him finish his first comic book experience.
See this right here? I got this off a spinner rack at Offutt Air Force Base. So obviously it was like the current book out at the time over there, Bellevue, Nebraska. It's very easy to say what your first comic is.
All right, so this is a G.I. Joe comic book that, what is this guy's name? Richard Meyer says that, he read and reread over and over again. And what is interesting about it is that he went on to do like G.I. Joe comics, and he also went into the military. So this kind of really set him on a path to join the military, be in the Marines, like this kind of grunt kind of character, and then doing comic books about like military. So let me try to remember the name of his comic book series that was hugely successful. He's received hundreds of thousands of dollars through crowdfunding campaigns just to make these comic books come to life. And as for my first comic book, it wasn't the Sandman. It was probably Spider-Man and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But I can't say anything like really ignited something until Sandman. So my answer is actually pretty close to Heather Antos's answer with Sandman. And she was an editor at Marvel. She went on to work in a number of different comics companies. I think she's at IDW now. But what is kind of funny is these two creators, or yeah, I can call her a creator, are kind of like arch nemesis of each other.
Mhm.
And you were saying that your first one was Tom and Jerry, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it was like not my first comic, but one that stood out. I have multiple issues of the same thing, and other like Disney princess spin-offs that you can definitely tell they were not licensed by the way they were colored.
Oh wow.
Something that we need to point out is that it's our first stream together moving.
Yeah. And
What do you think?
that's kind of why we're hitting each other's heads and stepping on each other's toes. It's all new.
My toes are fine. Are your toes fine?
They're a little bruised.
Oh, that's how they look normally. And also, my VTuber is calling me out. I've been yawning this entire time, and you can see it is not fun.
There we go. I've got like this huge Batman spread of screens from my iPad to monitors, and like I'm turning up to 180 degrees, so I never really know where I'm looking with my VTube model. But this Sandman is kind of like a collection of short stories. They all, connect.
We can see on screen.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I'm glad I got somebody looking out for me.
Yeah. Between two yawns, I'm always looking at.
So they all connect. They're kind of centered around this one character, the Dream. He's also called Morpheus.
Mm-hmm. That character reminds me of somebody.
Who does he remind you of?
Of you.
Yeah. So that's kind of something that I saw him and went like, dude, that's me. And so
That is me.
yeah, so I really related to the whole Morpheus character.
The funny thing is that he is based off of you. You did not build your personality based on him, you know.
Yeah, so like
So
these were made in the 80s, and
yeah, it's like the who came first, the chicken or the egg.
yeah. But you'll notice as I'm flipping through this, they have different artists doing each story.
Why is that?
Um, I think they actually are kind of harkening back to the original horror comics. I know Neil Gaiman was a fan of those horror comics where they have, just good artists and good writers doing separate stories, short stories within the same comic book. Oh, here we go. Here's Shakespeare. So I really connected with the whole collection of shorts and having a group of different artists. And so when I discovered all of the other Warren Publishing books, I was already in love because this was heavily influenced by them. So to any of our viewers out there, if you want to share your first comic book, maybe you can help us find some secret passages and this labyrinth of destiny. Yeah,
I
so
remember my mom talking about her first comics because during the communism there was not much to choose from, and there was this kind of like He-Man or like Tarzan looking character. His name was Rahan.
I know Rahan.
Yeah,
Wasn't
that
that like a
was
TV show?
at some point, but we had comics first.
Wow.
We still do. Yeah, so I don't think she was into them, but those were the ones that you would see at the bookstore or like where you would buy newspapers from. Besides this other magazine that was filled with short stories and comics, it was like a French magazine for kids called Pif. I showed it to
PIF?
you. Yes.
Yeah, here you can see this Morpheus character giving inspiration to Shakespeare. And he's surrounded by fairies.
If you can give inspiration to any writer, who would it be?
Uh, Myself.
No.
Um,
And answer properly was more.
well, I'm really enamored with all this old stuff. So I don't know any like contemporary writers that are doing something that I love so much right now. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today is the interconnectedness of all of these writers, things that you never knew. So, all right, that's going to bring me to Vampirella.
Can I answer the question? Because I would have an author that I could give advice to.
Sure.
I would go back in time to Lord Dunsany and tell him to make Lirizo and Alveric kiss at the end of Elfenlied.
All right, here we go. This is Vampirella number 9. And let's see what year. 1970. And you see on the very first page, we've got a one-page fairy tale about Lilith, the character
Which
Lilith.
is her mom.
Not yet. This is actually, let me see. I had to really dig in the family album to uncover that story about, oh yeah. But she's saying it here is her great, 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 great grandma. So this was, I think before they really wrote Lilith into her story. Because this is just Vampirella number 9.
Yeah, I
Out
think
of,
around number 16 or 18 is where they made her appear as her mom.
and the reason that I wanted to bring number 9, unfortunately, is one I do not own yet, is because there's a story in here called The Boy Who Loved Trees. And it ties into a lot of stuff that I want to.
And it's about you when you were little.
Oh, we got another tie in here. See, this one, The Curse, is actually from this Sword and Sorcery comics. Is that it? Oh, oh, actually, this isn't the one. I think there was another one.
Uh,
Ring of Warlords. This is the one. Okay. I was confused. This is the one that I first saw on Twitter back in the day. And The Curse. There we go. See? The Curse.
mm-hmm.
So this particular issue was kind of like a one-shot Ring of Warlords, 1979. And they did reprints of stories that had appeared in the various Warren magazines, from Creepy to Vampirella to Eerie. Yeah. And this also has Esteban Moroto in it. And this is the one that I got enamored with and just started this whole rabbit hole. Okay, so now back to Vampire. The Boy Who Loved Trees. So there's two things I want to share about this one. It's by Gardner Fox written, and the art is by Barry Smith. This guy, Gardner Fox, by the time of writing this story in 70, he had already done a ton of stuff for DC Comics. I think I actually have some information here. Yeah, Gardner Fox wrote several novels and more than 4,000 comics, including one over 1,500 for DC Comics. And he says that he was inspired by A. Merritt and Edgar Rice Burroughs. And before we get into this whole Appendix N thing, I want to finish our story here about the boy who loved trees. So this is just a boy who likes to go wandering in the woods. He's picked on, but this time he met a dryad out of a tree, and you can see this whole folklore tie-in too.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a party with the dryads, but he has the power of second sight, which is something I think we've talked a little bit about before. The ability to see fairies and supernatural creatures.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody has that sight. So you see him dancing with the dryads. He's followed by somebody who can't see the dryads, so he just looks like he's dancing all by himself in the woods, like some crazy little kid.
Wismar, do you have the fairy sight?
Yeah, actually, I think I have at least something. Yeah, because I think that's kind of the same as seeing ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
and I have had ghost experiences that were visual, but also kind of combined a separate sense. So that's kind of how second sight, I think, works.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a ghost in one of the apartments, and I've seen demons. So I've seen some crazy stuff, and I can relate. And I haven't been beaten up by people because I have seen these things, but I have always sort of been an outsider.
I see. Oh, Wismar, I have a proposition.
Yeah.
Now, if you have the sight, that means it is easier for you to find fairies in the woods.
Yeah.
Remember, the guy who was searching for fairies, something Saunders.
Yeah, Erwin
Um,
Saunders.
yeah, he is rather old. He will probably want to retire soon. And I have lately found UFO candy here at the store. You can replace Eric Saunders with more.
You know what would be cool is getting a drone and trying to videotape with some drone footage out in the wild, like Erwin Saunders, but he just goes trudging through the woods with a little handheld camera.
Oh,
But
I thought we were about to do the thing that he did with the tent, where him and his other camera guy were in a tent. I had other ideas. But I found UFO candy at the store.
Yeah, I haven't seen UFO candy here, so maybe it is a European thing. He's British,
British.
not from the US.
So do you think it will work on US ferries?
I don't know. Our fairies are quite different. If you look at Native American legends, they're not quite the same, but there are some similarities, just like in size, in that they live underneath the earth. The moon-eyed people is one legend of the Cherokee, where there are these shorter statue people that live underneath the mountains there, and they warned the Cherokee before the Trail of Tears to hide, and they didn't know why. They didn't know what was coming, but they were alerted that something awful was coming, and they hid. And then after all of the other people that didn't heed their warning were rounded up and moved out west, a lot of people died on that trek too, because it was rough, and they were just doing it all on foot. Old people and children. But those that hid came out after the military people had come to round them up. And so they were still in their ancestral homelands. And eventually they bought the land so that they could, keep it and live on it after all of the Native American rounding up was over.
I feel like there's something better for American fairies that they can enjoy. Remember when we were in the woods and we saw that cluster of nerd clusters?
Yeah.
I think that's replacing UFO candy in your forest.
Oh.
Unless it just actually grows at the base of trees.
Yeah, I don't think it's a natural fungal growth. All right, so what I have here is Zatanna, which ties together with the story we had with the boy who loved trees and dryads. That was written by Gardner Fox. And Zatanna was actually a character created by Gardner Fox. He was the first to write about her and her father, Zatara. And the other tie-in here, this wasn't written by Gardner Fox. This is a later issue. I think. Let's open it up. Let's see when this came out. But the other tie-in is this is an Esteban Morodo artwork that he did for DC Comics.
These comics are in such good shape.
Yeah, this paper or this tape right here always freaks me out. It's gonna get stuck on
and rip up the paint on your comic and just tear it to pieces.
Actually, it happened just yesterday.
With what?
A Vampirella.
No! Did you destroy a Vampirella?
I did. Here, let me get it out and I'll show you the effects.
Why was more? Do you know what you need?
What's that?
You need magnetic strips on the back of the sleeves.
Well, it was me transferring it over to my current organization. Here, this thing right here. I've got it in a 3-ring binder. This is the new Vampirella that I was moving over. And it caught right there. I got ripped off.
Oh no. I bet your heart stopped.
Yep. I was trying really hard not to pull it up. but this is
Do
very
you
fragile
still
stuff.
do you still have the piece of tape with the paper?
No.
Oh.
But it is interesting. It's like right along his jaw, where it's white along the other side of his jaw. So it
Yeah, you can't really tell.
kind of blends in. But it took several dollars off of this. It was in very good condition before that.
Yeah.
And some of these I am trying to flip on eBay. So I may not be able to get, or I'll probably only be able to get what I paid for this one back if I was trying to flip it.
Would this be a good one to try to restore?
No, because it's missing pieces. You
Oh.
can't restore artwork that's been torn off. Unless you're talking about like repainting it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, as with it is with art restoration, in comic book collecting and fandom, the restoration really isn't as appreciated, I'm finding in my research. So stuff that's like restoration is fine and people are happy seeing. And what the difference between restoration and what was the other word we were using?
I don't know.
um, is that like if you've got rips and using some sort of adhesive to bring it back together where it's not tape.
Reconstituting it.
Yeah, so sort of putting it back together without changing any of the original artwork on it, it doesn't, you know, hurt its value. But when you actually go to like repaint something, even if it's just a spot, like a black spot, it's just not as appreciated and it doesn't really help the value. All right, so that was that detour.
So the moral of the story is that from now on you'll take the tape entirely off before you slide it out of the sleeve.
Yeah.
But I want to ask, did your heart stop?
Yes, it dropped to my stomach when it stopped.
It dropped to your toes.
So this, we were going to check and see when this came out. This is 1993. Okay, wow. So this is way after the 70s. Esteban Murado is still doing comic book illustrations. He did the cover and all of the interiors for a 4-issue miniseries. 2, 3,
4.
4.
The covers are really impressive.
Yeah, so this helped me discover new artists that were just amazing, new to me artists. And I didn't know that they, had such a long career in the industry. And I just
Are
never.
they all dead?
I don't know how old Esteban is now. I can look it up. He was born in 1942. He's from Spain. So he's in his 70s now.
Wismer.
Yep.
Are you looking forward to have your own comics sit on your shelf?
Yeah. I'm
I
looking
think that would
forward
be
to
awesome.
having my own comics sit on many people's shelves. He also did work for X-Men Unlimited, Hellfire Club, number 33. I didn't know he did any X-Men work. So that was up until 2001. That's when that one came out. And he's still alive. There's not a deceased date on his page. I'm trying to see what the latest work is that I see from him, but it looks like 2001. So you want to see a little bit of the inside here?
Yes. But be careful.
Yeah, that's why I got my gloves on. And
Your gardening gloves.
these are actually my art gloves.
The ones that I did not sew the patches on
Mm.
because I forgot.
Well, Nightfall, when Batman broke his spine, or Bane broke Batman's spine.
That's more blood than I would expect for somebody breaking their spine. Maybe he had a packet of jam in his pants.
In his back pocket.
Yeah.
But yeah, the colors are still really vibrant in this.
What do you think of this coloring style where it's straight up just white and blue and green in some scenes?
I prefer it.
You like it?
Yeah, I prefer it to the gradients that you
Yeah, I
see
hate-
in the 90s. And that's why I don't really have many 90s comics. Like this is 91, but this would be before that really became a trend. Oh, this is weird. It almost looks like it's discolored, but it's supposed to be shadow. Or is it discolored? What do you think?
Maybe it's just dirty. Or from the printing. It doesn't go in the bubbles, right?
Well, no, it doesn't. Oh, yeah, so it stops right at the bubble. It's where his shadows are.
Yeah,
So I
so
think-
maybe they use those screens, you know.
Yeah, it just doesn't look good. It's panels. So, my interest I have found is in magic. Look at all these creatures that Zatanna can see because she has second sight.
Oh wow. Flatten the pages with more, press on them.
Good.
Huh?
Is this not flat enough?
No. Flatten the spine.
No,
Why?
because I don't want to break the spine.
It's a magazine, it doesn't have a spine.
It does. I can flatten one side or the other.
I'm doing the devil's rig right here.
So there are a lot of comics you can collect if you're not into superheroes. So Zatanna does do superhero stuff. Like she went into Justice League Dark, but she's not like a regular superhero. She's just is a magician, magic user.
How is the price of comics determined nowadays? Because back in the day, everything sold for 5 cents.
And cover price on this is $1.95.
Oh well.
So comic books usually go for about $6 now, $5.99, $4.99. There are some that are produced by Alterna Comics. You can get for $1.75. But it's really just that one provider that can produce them so cheap.
No, but what I'm asking is the old comics, the ones from 70s, 80s, 90s, who decides their prices nowadays? Where you buy them again?
Oh, I see. So if you're getting them off the secondhand market.
Yeah. Noon, hello!
Welcome, Noon!
Wish you both an amazing stream just to hop in before going to bed. Sleep well, Noon.
Alright, thanks for dropping in. We won't bother you with the fairy circle dance, since you're going to bed.
You don't need to make Noon agitated. So,
haven't
back
read
to the
this.
prices.
Yeah, what were you saying?
No, you were explaining the pricing.
There's a lot of variables. So there's an X-Men #1 that you would think would be expensive.
Yeah.
But this is a particular X-Men 91 or X-Men #1 that sold like over 6 million copies.
Uh-huh.
So you can still get that X-Men #1 for like its original price because there are so many of them out there. Maybe even cheaper than its original price. So the amount that's out there is a big factor on what they're worth.
Mm-hmm.
So the less there are out in the wild, the more expensive they are. And
like Vampirella #1.
yeah, like I can't find a Vampirella for under $600. Vampirella 1.
And even that is like a grade 4.
Yeah. But there are also more collectible, more comics that are in demand, like the lower numbers. And also, if there is like a first time a particular character was introduced, that can add to its collectability and more desire and have it go up in value if more people are trying to get a hold of it. There's only so many out there.
And also, there are the Vampirella ones, which have Frazetta covers, and those are higher in price just because of the Frazetta cover.
Yeah. Some people collect comics just for their covers. They won't even open them. They'll just put them on display, all wrapped.
Would you ever do that?
I already am, yeah. I've got my own display rack in my
Yeah,
library.
but you buy them for the inside too, because you're like, let me look inside.
Yeah. I don't really like the graded copies that are in a frame and you can't open up.
Mm-hmm.
I have one of those that I received as a gift, and I do keep it on display. It is a Sandman. But yeah, I can't open it and read it.
But then, I'm trying to be a gremlin here. If nobody can open it and read it, what if inside the comic is damaged?
Well, when you send it off to the company that grades these, they'll examine the whole issue and say put their number on it, and then it gets closed up, it gets sealed. But there has been some fishiness going on with, because I think it's just one company.
Yep.
And some people will swap out the frame, like they find a way to open it up and then swap out comics and sort of get those looking like they're graded higher than they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's still things can happen, even if you think you have a highly graded comic. Do you want me to break that out?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. We are gonna look at them in the frame. It's cool by the cover, and I never saw the back, but maybe we can crack it open. Maybe. I'm trying to convince Wismore wants his back, if we can open it. You're back.
Yes.
Welcome back. Me and Phelan and Tetra decided something
Wow.
that we're gonna open this case.
D-Bad.
DB.
How's it going? We do have somebody that we can have dance in our fairy circle today.
Yes, bring the circle. So I would take that as a yes, Westmore.
What? Yes,
what
the
I
what?
asked.
I got distracted by D-Bad.
Oh.
Whoa! Almost got a secret menu, but instead trapped. Oh.
What does trap mean?
That means I play the video that I don't have. It's just gonna be an extreme delay. So how's it going, DB? And I would love to hear what your very first comic was. Do you remember what your first comic was?
Or the comic that you liked the most? So Westmore, our idea, our inquiry to you was that if we can open this case.
Oh, no.
But please.
Actually, it is cracked, so I have to see if I can get it replaced. But at least it's on the back.
Yeah.
It fell off
Please.
the wall it was hanging on. Correct.
So?
The comic gremlins got it.
Infinity Gauntlet, definitely, and an issue of Creepshow. The book is nice. Yeah, see, that book is scribbled by all kinds of people.
Yeah, somebody did graffiti all over the front of this comic book.
Yeah. I know that signatures on comics are really valuable and everything, but if anybody would like ask me to sign the comic that we make on the cover, be like, you sure? Like it never looks as good as you think it does. You can sign inside. Ooh, I know. It was more. When we finish our comic, the inside of the front cover, I want to have like a rectangle left out for the signature of the artist so we can sign there without bothering anybody.
Yeah, so there is actually like a debate on where the artists or authors should sign a comic book. When you go to a convention, you can get these signed. And they say if it's going to be just like for display, it goes on the front. If it's a reader copy, it goes on the inside.
Where do you prefer?
I prefer the inside because I really like the covers.
We can see you.
What?
We can see you in the reflection of the case.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hi. That was a sneak peek at our Johnny Silverhand. I had others, but those are the cooler ones. Erase those things. I got a funny story. What's the funny story?
I cannot find the fairy trap. That's what I've been hunting for. That's why I've been distracted.
Do you want me to send you the link?
Yeah. So let me catch up, back up with DVAD here. So, Infinity Gauntlet, okay. And an issue of Creepshow. Well, so you do like horror comics. And I didn't know horror comics were cool until I discovered the Warren Publishing stuff too. Because my exposure to horror comics was like the older stuff from the like 50s. And I'm not really too into like the 50s comic book art.
Send.
Thank you.
And now to fix myself. Oh.
Most obvious fade trap I have ever seen.
I'm gonna go touch it.
No, Maria, you're gonna get kidnapped. Most.
There we go. A very delayed trap. There were some good treasures in the 80s and 90s one, same vibe as heavy metal. Yeah, that's another part of my comic book origin story, is the heavy metal, which is kind of an outgrowth of the old horror comics from the 60s and 70s. So after the comic books code went into effect, I think it was in 1964, it meant that you couldn't have these adult themes, you couldn't have adult art in comic books. So the way that all of these horror comics got around it is they printed in magazine layout. So that's why these that's why these are fatter, whiter. It's because this is magazine style. So you can see the big difference in size here. And so they were, selling it to a more adult market. And, I don't really know as much about the European side, where the adult themes kind of came in. Like maybe they were influenced by the American comics. I know that in these Vampirella and Warren magazines, they did have a lot of European artists. So I'm thinking that, yeah, it probably was influenced by the American market and people buying the art from especially Spanish artists. And actually, let me get something else out. I have a Spanish artist from heavy metal that has a new comic book that you can just recently get from Backer Kit. So, DB, you might enjoy seeing this. We'll see. Here we go. It is I Dragon from Juan Jimenez. So he did this whole dragon comic book appeared in across several issues of heavy metal. And he recently passed away like in 2016, I think. It says on here somewhere. But is finally being collected and translated into English.
Power Man, hi.
Was a power man. ABC strong lad. Would you like a spin in the fairy circle?
Can I ask something? Do you have these nicknames written down? Because you remember them fast.
I just remember people's names.
Good, because I can barely remember my own.
Can you remember any anime girl sounds?
Ooh, my newest one. Amerikaya! Ha! I yelled. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm excited to get to a fairy sorting because we haven't done a fairy sorting yet.
Yeah.
I want to see what the advanced mode. Yeah, fairy sorting is a 13% chance every time somebody comes in.
What's the secret menu?
The secret menu is a 4% chance.
Oh. Three
Yeah.
thunders. Hello.
We got a 3 thunders. Hey, look at this. I've already got the fairy circle open for you. And 2 windows.
Denizens of the grove.
We got another trapped.
No, three thunders.
And the 3 thunders getting trapped. Stepping into a fairy trap.
Oh, whisper. Can I show the hand?
Yeah.
Guys, I have found something on the beautiful Twitter.
Hold on, let me do the trap for 3 thunders real quick.
Fey trap I have ever seen.
I'm gonna go touch it.
No, Maria, you're gonna get kidnapped.
Yep. So 3 thunders, I hope you didn't get kidnapped. From the fairy trap. Alright. We've got a disembodied hand.
Aww. Oy. Is this the one? No, this is another one. I'm confused. Me too, three thunders.
Why is some disembodied hand grabbing your face?
But there's the other one. Oh, hold on. Oh, there you go. So, okay. No, because it's pinching my cheeks. Ah. Hi, Three Thunders. Hi, everybody.
Oh, I have a question for everybody. What was your first comic book? We want to tie it into your destiny in life. Destiny's Garden. I'm gonna break it out. Re-break out.
Destiny's Child, not Destiny's Garden.
No, it's the garden. Walk any path in Destiny's Garden and you will be forced to choose, not once, but many times. The paths fork and divide with each step you take through Destiny's Garden. You make a choice, and every choice determining future paths. However, at the end of a lifetime of walking, you might look back and see only one path stretching out behind you, or look ahead and see only darkness. Yeah, so we're tying in people's first comic book or favorite comic book to their destiny. And we haven't done that for D-Bad. D-Bad was...
My first comic was Mickey Mouse #1 from 1990, first Bulgarian edition.
Oh, wow.
See, Eastern European people have that spice in the comics that they get.
Mickey Mouse #1. So I wonder what happened in that Mickey Mouse #1 that changed your whole course in life.
Mickey Mouse goes to Zarachina Hole.
Did Mickey Mouse #1 influence Little Three Thunders to become a VTuber? My first favorite comic book here is The Sandman, and looking back on it now, I see how many things that it has influenced in my life. My search for comics, short collection of short comics written in a very scholarly kind of style that have references to classical literature, to mythology and fairy tales. I didn't know that these kind of comic books existed, and this was my first introduction to them. And I want to make my own now, with Wisteria's help.
Yeah. Yeah, I help.
More like inspired me to draw. Wow. Collected it for 4 years because it was very bright, colorful, and very dull times.
Yeah, back in the 90s, the entire Bulgaria was black and white.
I believe it. Or that sepia tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these Sandmans led to my absolute fascination with vampirellas. And also heavy metal is in here somewhere. And I appreciated the heavy metal comics, and they're very similar to the vampirellas and the Eries and the Creepies I have collected. You know,
When did you start your collection, Wismar?
when did I what?
When did you start your collection?
As a young boy?
No, the Vampirellas.
Oh, this year. I have a Creepy,
And you already have how many numbers?
30.
And that, my kids, is called not a collection, but a problem.
Yeah. There's something else I wanted to introduce people to. Check this
Did
out.
you the new Humble Bundle?
What? New Humble Bundle? I don't know what you're saying.
Did
Lots
they
of-
ask about the Humble Bundle?
No, I didn't. Oh, it's got vampirellas and awesome stuff?
What?
Yeah, if you got a link, I'd love to see it, or maybe I can search up Humble Bundle. My first cool comic book I ever got was Lady Death #1. I can see that. I can see that. Lady Death is an aesthetic of its own. It's very cool.
And then Tritandas proceeds to say, and that shaped my dating habits.
Always on the search for his Lady Death. Alright, this is Epic, a Marvel magazine. Did you guys know that Marvel actually did its own short story collections?
No.
And this is a cover by Barry Windsor-Smith, who illustrated that comic book that we saw at the very beginning of this episode about the boy who loved trees. And Barry Windsor-Smith does my favorite version of Conan. It's very much, I think this is a Conan, but they all of the Conans look like this that he draws. Yeah,
She has... Sorry.
the original heavy metal aesthetic. So you discovered Lady Death before you discovered heavy metal? Oh, we got a link. Oh yeah, and I was looking at Juan Jimenez, iDragon. All right. There we go. So this was just recently collected, where you can get the English version. It's already available in Spanish and French if you speak those languages. Otherwise, this is the only place you can get it from. And I'll put the link in the chat here if you want to check it out and get...
So this Humble Bundle thing is basically where you can read comics online, or what is this?
Wow, Red Sonja. Oh, this is the volume archives. Yeah, I've looked at those. Let's see. So, yeah, it looks digital. So it looks like it is for digital, yes. And these archives are a collection. They usually have like 5 or 6 in each book. So that's the Vampirella #1.
Pretender says that was the first time I went abroad. I was in London and I bought it for £4 in a small comic book shop right against the British Museum. I still remember the place.
Yeah, it's sort of one of those memories that kind of gets etched into your brain.
Kind of gets the tears going. No?
No,
No? Okay.
we've got
Hysteria being unrelatable.
Vampirella, the Jose Gonzalez art. So I think he picked up as the second artist for Vampirella on its original run. But it was an alternate timeline. The Lady Death, she has a lot of alternate timelines. She does like these crossover events, and it doesn't seem like they really affect her main storyline. So maybe she's a dimension hopper,
Grasshopper.
where she was not the half-daughter of Lucifer, but some fey creature. Oh, I never knew. I didn't know she had fey blood in one dimension.
Wismore's newest obsession sounds like it was unlocked.
Yeah. I've been a fan of Lady Death art, but I haven't collected any of her comics. I need to fix this, because this was some comic book news I wanted to go over. We were speaking about crowdfunds.
Guys, if you're able to like collect any sort of comic issue, if money was not a problem, what would you collect from start to finish, but only choose one title?
So just recently on Kickstarter, Stripe has banned this one comic book called from Deep Cover Studios, just their anthology #1.
Who's Stripe?
Stripe is a payment processor, sort of like PayPal.
PayPal.
Yeah. And they don't like it because it's NSFW. And Stripe is said to be clamping down on these crowd-funded NSFW comic books, which are huge on Kickstarter. Like, those are the top grossing comics, monetary financial backing on Kickstarter. So it says here, a brief search will find that over 80% of the top comics listed are branded NSFW.
But what's their issue with NSFW content?
These financial institutions really have always not liked to process or fund or lend money to a business or any type of financial venture that has to do with pornography.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't anything new for payment processors to do. it's just kind of gone under the radar for so long, and then Stripe noticed what was going on and said, "Hey, we don't want this to happen." Yeah, haters. So
If you think about it, sorry.
what?
I wanted to say that if you think about it, there's this commission platform called VGen, and their payment process, like the main one is Stripe, and then artists, which are like reputable good artists that do rigging for VTuber models, is mostly like VTuber based. They also do lots of NSFW art commissions, so it's kind of hypocritical.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it doesn't spread, because I don't see the used comics as pornography. I've enjoyed heavy metal. I've enjoyed Vampirella. They have nudity in them, but it's not a big deal. It's not.
You know, if you don't flag them as NSFW, then there's the comment being made that, hey, there are like boobs shown in here or something that might not blend well with a younger audience. When you do say, hey, don't buy your 6-year-old this, and everybody's like, you're selling pornography. No.
Yeah, so let me read a little bit from here. Rumors have been circulating that ever since Kickstarter hired a new head of comics outreach, Sam Cusack, they would be addressing the concerns of creators who are frustrated with the inability to be seen because of this process. And the process being spicy comic books. So there's a group of comic book creators that don't like the top of Kickstarter being mostly NSFW. So they're trying to be seen more. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's how Stripe got tipped off by a competitor of these NSFW comics. Because they're even bringing it up with the, head of comics outreach at Kickstarter. Sam Cusack said that there were no plans for Kickstarter to make changes to its platform policies at this time, though he had heard of frustrations of creators who are trying to compete in a space where NSF or pornography is dominating everything. He further said that if Kickstarter does decide to make any change on the platform, it will be announced via proper channels. So really, Stripe has only targeted this one comic. We don't know if that means they're gonna target more. And
Was this comic so wild that they had to target it?
These are, pictures from it, and it's really not that wild. It's not any worse than what I've actually flipped through on screen with Vampirella.
Yeah.
So this is from Stripe. Thank you for your patience. We're sorry about what's going on. We're working on escalating this issue to Stripe, as appears there is a mistake over on their end. What? We will continue to advocate for your work and remind them that you've had multiple successful campaigns in the past. So the creator of this anthology was reaching out to Stripe, and this is what he's got back. So he's done various other comic books, not had any issues. So Stripe finishes saying, unfortunately, seeing as the project has ended, the project will need to be relaunched. Wow. Because Stripe has disabled the credit card transfers on their end, the errored payments will not process. We apologize for this experience. Yeah, this looks like a Facebook post from the creator of the comic book. Sharing
This
that
is the
email.
market. No, 3 times this is the market is king.
Yeah. Yeah, unless the payment processors say no, and then nobody can spend any money on them. So,
Yeah, but then they back down and everything and say, no, you can spend money, just relaunch everything. Oh well.
yeah, you're right. So it does look like it's a one-off. That is strange that it would be a one-off and they just had somebody on their team that decided to turn off one particular campaign. It's very, very weird. But it is applicable to us and our comics. Not that we really planned on doing NSFW, but wouldn't say that we feel limited to not show TNA and that kind of stuff. You know TNA?
No.
Tits and ass. Yeah, like
I was not briefed about this before stream.
yeah, I would say rated R is kind of more our vibe rather than just saying full NSFW.
Oh, it's kind of like, look at my character's costume. Believe that when I move, you're gonna see stuff. That's all.
Yeah, more akin to Japanese fan service,
Yeah.
where it's titillating but not all out there.
Does the word titillating come from titties?
No, maybe titties comes from titillating. I don't know.
Oh. But you know why I find it so like frustrating is that you need to put the NSFW disclaimer because of my character, but you're walking around just nipples out all day long.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
No shoes either. You can see
Yeah.
my toes.
Yeah. I don't see wiki feet coming after you.
Yep.
Only some feet count.
So I do have some more connections I want to draw today. We were just looking back at that Dryad story written by Gardner Fox. Not only did Gardner Fox do a ton of comic books, he wrote a bunch of books. And this might relate to some of you. Let's see if yep, here we go. If you enjoy Dungeons and Dragons, Gardner Fox had a hand in making it what it is. So we have this one little story from a Vampirella number 9 about a boy and some dryads. And we're tying it all the way into Dungeons and Dragons. And how is that? Do you know, Wisteria? Do you know what I have up here on screen?
No.
This is the Appendix N from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And what this is the inspiration for all of the fantasy work that directly fathered the feel, the look, the rules of Dungeons and Dragons. So this is the list of inspirational reading printed in the Dungeon Master Guide of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And a lot of people think it's just Tolkien. Tolkien is on here. Tolkien, J.R. Yeah, The Hobbit.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
J.R.R. and the Ring Trilogy. It's good. R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah. So
And-
that means is like if you liked Dungeons and Dragons, you might also like this vibe.
Yeah. So Gardner Fox is listed here for Kothar series and Kyric. So it was after that Vampirella comic book that
Can I have some beef with this list because they list Tolkien and Tolkien is inspired by Dunsany, but they don't list Dunsany.
oh, he's on here. Right
Yes.
here. Yep, Lord Dunsany.
I return
Lord
my
Dunsany.
complaint.
He was not forgotten. He is the grandfather. And you also noticed on here, when I was reading Gardner Fox's inspiration, we have A. Merritt. And who else did he list? Edgar Rice Burroughs. Is Edgar Rice Burroughs in here? Yes. His Pellucidar series, Mars series, that would be Princess of Mars. Or the John Carter series, the Venus series, and World's End. No, that's Lynn Carter. That's a different person. So, yeah, these sort of fantasy writings influenced Dungeons and Dragons, and I have here, as part of my tour of my collection, the whole series of Kyric, the Warlock Warrior.
I like how whatever is on your shelf, I never know exactly what they are, and then they pop up in a stream and you show them like, wow, I saw that book so many times.
These are actually really fun books. They're written in like to capitalize on Conan the Barbarian,
Hmm.
because Conan was from Weird Tales, written by Robert E. Howard, many decades before this came out.
Yeah.
And these are, I think, more fun. They're not as scholarly as they're more kind of like pop culture writing than reading literature. But even Robert E. Howard, he's got a pretty big vocabulary, as a lot of writing back from that time. But he is kind of literary in his writing. What's going on with your face?
Nothing. Continue.
Yeah, and you can kind of see the relation between, these covers. I think there is even in heavy metal a story about this, like this particular image, where there's some guy riding a flying dinosaur, saving a naked woman.
Oh.
Yeah, so this kind of stuff all really does tie in. These are sort of like pop culture jigsaw puzzles that have just been lost, gone missing, that I don't think anybody knows about. I didn't find out about them by studying history. I just started connecting things. Hey, Gardner Fox wrote this. Let's look up some other stuff that he does. I enjoy him. Let's see what else they do.
You should put out in the world this history lesson that you figured out on your own.
That's what today's stream is.
Oh.
It had a rough
You
start.
heard it here, folks.
It had a rough start, but I think we've got a groove now.
Wistmaster groove. Do you like my pudding?
I do like your pudding. And
You know what that means?
your what? Your pudding?
Yeah. I have a snack queued up for later.
Oh. It doesn't surprise me. So back to your first or favorite comic. Is this your first or favorite?
It's my favorite. I don't remember my first. Probably some really niche Hungarian comics. Those were my first. But this came out in around like 2004. I had 4 years old. I was 4, whatever.
So this was before you saw the Lord of the Rings movies too, right?
No. I saw Lord of the Rings when I was 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My mom was the best parent in the world, and she was like, no, this is fine. This is kids' content. Yeah. I don't know. I think one of them came out in the 2000s. By then, I saw 2 of the movies.
Okay. So you were like enthralled by Lord of the Rings because of the movies.
Yeah. I was really into it. My biggest crush was Legolas. So I wanted to see like who's portraying Legolas in this Tom and Jerry story. Spoiler, nobody.
Yeah, and that even marks your destiny in Destiny's Garden. Your crush on Legolas.
What? Why? I don't make the connection.
Because you like tall elves.
Yeah, you are my tall elf.
Yeah.
Because actually, I liked Legolas up until like 5 or 6 when I was like, Oh, and I think I like Aragorn's aesthetic, but like Legolas is an elf, so it's hard to choose. But then that really marks the idea that you embody both. So there we go.
And do you remember me introducing you to Lord Dunsany, um, the King of Elfland's daughter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love King of Elfland's daughter. You read it to me, and then I could relate to Larazel so much and to her story. But again, if I can go back in time, I would tell him, make them kiss at the end.
Yeah, so Tolkien was heavily influenced by Lord Dunsany. Lord Dunsany was writing in the early 1900s, um, well before The Hobbit came out. He influenced a lot of these people on this Appendix N list.
And can I talk more about my comic?
Yeah.
In it, there was a short story about a skeleton-looking character. He was like a little Grim Reaper, and he had a pet raven that was a baby raven, and that raven was also like a skeleton. So it had a huge beak and a small body, and it was all made out of tiny bones, and it was so cute. And his name was like Tiny Bones, and he was acting like a rapper, and he was trying to make rhymes and things. And then I really, really enjoyed that story, but without it being like a popular character or something, it was just like a short comic. I went to the playground to tell all the kids about this dead skeleton raven that I like, and nobody played with me that day.
Yeah, and when I was going back through Sandman, um, I kind of had forgotten about what is his name? He's got a pet raven. If anybody remembers the show that was on Netflix, he has a name.
Whatever. So even the like king to the pet's raven of mine came from that, and now I really like Tetro.
Yeah, and this raven here from Sandman, I think, is why Tetro came into existence as my little buddy. And I can't remember his name.
You want me to find it?
Sure. Matthew. I think it's Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew.
Yeah, there it is. Matthew. So Matthew is also in the Sandman show, if you caught that on Netflix.
I think I only watched like half an episode and I lost interest.
Yeah, so that's another comic book influence that still sticks with me today. So your Tom and Jerry comic book, did that influence your design sense, your artwork?
I think what it influenced in my artistic journey was that the style of Tom and Jerry is just as you see in the cartoons. It's like simple, kid friendly, and everything, but they told this epic story that you would think it would alter the story from having such derpy, cutesy characters. And it didn't. It had the same impact as the movie, as the book. So I realized that no matter what style I choose to portray a story, and if it's a good story, then the characters will make part of it. So it kind of like gave me a bit of confidence to just tell bigger stories with whatever skill set I had at the time and not worrying that things look childish.
Very cool. Yeah, so it's kind of similar to why I fell in love with the Sandman. Because it has these big ideas, even though it's in this medium that's not respected among high artists or fine artists. But they were still telling like these stories with big ideas. And that kind of leads me back to Weird Tales in our history today. Anybody out there familiar with Weird Tales?
I am, because we were hunting for them on eBay.
Yeah, these are much older than the Vampirellas. This is 1929. September 1929. 25 cents. And so we've got H.P. Lovecraft in here, Robert E. Howard, the author of Conan. So this is where all of the big pop authors were popping off back in the 20s, was in these short story magazines. And I bring up this like Weird Tales is because this is the predecessor of the horror comics. And a lot of the horror comics would outright steal stories from Weird Tales and just retell them with new art, maybe change some names. But they did some what would be considered straight up plagiarization. But it was more of a wild, freewheeling age. So which ones do we have in here? The Mirror of Tuzun Thun. So this is one of his Kull stories. Kull predates Conan. Before Conan. And the Conan the Barbarian movie that we've seen, that's actually a story about Kull.
Yeah, we actually saw the movie.
Yeah, it follows the Kull storyline, but was called Conan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and he has another one in here, The Moor Ghost.
He also had these two comics that were really cool. They were called Crawl.
Yeah, Krull. Very different. It just sounds similar. Kevin Sorbo's too. Yeah, that was that real Kull movie. I think it was the 90s. When Kevin Sorbo played Kull the King.
The Nut? Who's the Nut?
I think he's calling Kevin Sorbo a nut.
What does that mean?
Maybe he's a hazelnut. So these short story magazines would have like just illustrations interspersed between the stories, and then some guys in or wanting to get into publishing started making comic books and stories that stole a lot of ideas and followed along a lot of the themes from these old magazines, short story magazines. And even some of the authors would carry over. And where this still ties in is a lot of the authors from Weird Tales makes it into Appendix N. So D&D was heavily influenced by these old short story magazines. And I wouldn't say Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, the creators of Dungeons and Dragons, were influenced by the publication of Weird Tales or these short story magazines. What happens is in the 60s, all of these old stories were repackaged into novels. So you would take all these different short stories of Conan the Barbarian, and then all the stories that connected would become its own book. So there was a lot of these reprintings that happened in the 60s. And that's also when The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings kicked off. Like it had already been published once, but it didn't really pop off until the 60s and when it was reprinted during this whole fantasy craze from the 60s.
I'm cold.
Your pudding making you cold?
Yeah.
Do I have anything else I want to flip through today? I haven't done much flipping through. Oh, I did want to break out a epic Marvel, because I haven't really talked about those. We'll do... I'm just going to grab one at random here.
I want one.
What?
I want a specific one.
Oh, okay.
Not this one.
What'd
The
you-
one where a guy has a shield that is bronzy.
The one with the Barry Windsor Smith cover?
The one that looks like Wismore.
Yeah, okay.
See Wismore, I'm contributing to the stream.
Yeah, I'm doing lots.
I'm shaking my pudding.
And the table.
No.
See, no tape, it just slides right out. Don't have to worry about it sticking to the cover and ripping.
Oh yeah, my funny story. I met Yoshitaka Amano once. What?
What? Oh,
I had a little chat with him at some point of his event. He did the Dream Hunters art. He asked me if I had anything he could sign, and I said I'll go and get something. And I left immediately full of shame because I couldn't afford anything for him to sign. Well, it was interesting times.
no! Wow. That sounds like a gut-wrenching story.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite artists. And I do have that Dream Hunters, but I'm not going to get up and grab it. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Alright, so Marvel tried to get into the game of these short story collections. These aren't horror comics, these are just kind of epic fantasy stuff. And this is kind of along the lines of what we want to do for our anthology. Mostly fantasy focused.
DB says I have him sign it if I meet him again. Isn't he dead?
I don't know. Does this style look familiar to you, Wisteria?
Wait, let me look at it. Yeah. Oh no.
What?
It looks like JoJo's Bizarre Adventures to me.
Oh, well, I think it's actually Bill Willingham. He did art for some of the original Dungeons and Dragons modules, and he did some comic book stuff. He's now writing well, I don't know if he's still writing comic books, but he's recently written comic books. I was trying to see if I could see his signature in here, but like this looks like exactly like his stuff. We're currently doing an illustration that relates to Bill Willingham. I think that's as much as we can say.
Which one?
The one we just finished.
Oh, yeah. And this is what happens when you work at multiple things at once.
Okay, this doesn't look very fantasy. Maybe it's just action. It's like a Vietnam War thing.
The war of the Vietnam.
We got a werewolf man.
What? It's a Native American. Why am I so small and you're so big?
Oh, I was leaning forward, reading this.
I felt you looming over me.
I haven't gone through this yet. This is my first time through this one. Yeah, so I don't know if everybody is aware that a lot of my inspiration for Wistmore himself and his aesthetic is Native American inspired.
And that's because you like Native Americans, or you are a Native American?
Yeah, I've got Cherokee blood.
In your pinky?
More than my pinky.
It is everywhere, guys.
Vision and Quest, The Art of Barry Windsor Smith by Archie Goodwin. That's another name that's from Vampirella. I think he wrote a bunch of Vampirella stories.
DB says West lore.
Yeah.
Westmore, have you ever shared your lore?
Not in a really long time. There's a section on the Discord that has everything that's been written down about my lore.
In the visual development pages?
I don't know if I added those. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't.
I don't think you did.
So this is a Barry Windsor Smith illustration. And it looks like a Perseus, because he's holding up Medusa's head. And then we have Pandora from Greek mythology here too.
I like that layout of page with the illustration in the middle. It's cute.
So this is about like a biography of Barry Windsor Smith. Born in 1949. So he'd be in his late 60s, I think. So we get an interview with Barry. Some more of his art, mythology themed. Yeah, I want to come back and read this whole interview. Another look at this cover's painting, showing how it appears without being cropped by the magazine logo or overprinted with cover blurbs. It is the first of Barry's paintings to appear as a magazine cover. Wow. Yeah, so he used to do just illustrations inside, interior
So
illustrations.
the things you write on the comic are called comic book blurbs.
These would be cover blurbs.
I have my own stream blurbs, you know.
Yeah.
That when you're trying to explain something, I talk about something else.
Just blurb in.
Yeah.
So this is
Do
some
you
more.
mind?
No.
We-
It's the sort of chaos mancy that I do here with you. I don't control your chaos, I just use it as magic.
Yeah.
So this is more interior art from Barry. Is this from Conan or just it says Conan-esque?
It looks Conan. You know, I have a comment to make about Conan. He, as a character, has a lot of things going for him, but his haircut is not it. Like, if you told me to imagine the most badass warrior ever, it would not be with that haircut. I don't know, like, how he gets through his quests and everything, but apparently it was popular at some point.
Yeah, it even persisted to He-Man, because He-Man has the Conan haircut, he's just blonde.
Yeah. Like, I know. What made these authors or artists think that that French-looking Karen Bob haircut would go well on warriors?
I would see it on like illustrations of just like medieval people. I don't know if it's
And
really period appropriate or if it's just something that got associated with medieval haircuts.
well, it was not working for the medieval people either. Like, I have no idea how they got laid.
I mean, it does kind of look like the monk haircut. It's just that you don't have the bald top.
Was that bulb thing just from like actually deciding where you want your bald spot and going for it, or did they just bold in reverse?
Yeah, they were actually shaved.
Oh. I wonder if anybody went for like multiple spots, like cow spots.
No, I don't think intentionally. So this says, at the top of the page is one of the number of comic strips done especially for Orion Pictures Company film The Hand, which I've never heard of. In the movie, the comic strip Mandro, a Conan S. Barbarian, is the creation of the character played by Michael Caine. Barry plotted and drew the Mandro continuity and got Roy Thomas to help with the writing. So this would be something to look into, The Hand. Anybody out there heard of The Hand?
The hand that scratches your back.
Or grabs your cheeks?
Yeah, I'm not gonna pull that out again.
So he did 3 separate strips for The Hand. Was never used because the director, Oliver Stone, changed his mind about what he wanted.
No. It was never used because the director, Oliver Stone, was a loser.
Well, I want to know what happened. The second of the strips was closer to the work he did for Savage Sword.
Only a horror movie, but not a warrior one, says DB.
So Savage Sword was Conan comics that he did. Only a horror movie, but not a warrior one. Oh. So they really did take it in a different direction. That is that.
Does that mean that we have a movie to watch?
It's something to look into.
There's a warrior one? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. This is all news to me.
You know, in regards to not warrior worthy haircuts and not cool worthy haircuts, mohawk and mullet were not cutting it before I met you.
Oh, those are both kind of Native American styles.
Yeah,
But-
but they were in the lame category for me before I met you.
This is really cool. We got Death, but he's ghost-like. How he did that with his inks.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's really surprised by something. Like, I wasn't expecting you to be here.
Yeah. You? Again?
Oh, this is weird.
Weird.
This is like a comic book made out of photographs. The egg grows an eye and a mouth and starts flying. He's trying to cook an egg and then it does all this.
Would you do a comic book from pictures?
Oh, here we go. Actually, I did like a college art project with pictures.
Yeah, but would you do it again?
No. I think illustration's the way to go. But
yeah.
that project that I did for an art class was a sequential art with photographs. And what I did is I took a Q-tip dipped in bleach and rubbed the photograph for the form of this little imaginary creature that I was interacting with in this story. And then I drew in like his form with just like a regular pen. So it was kind of like this, and I just bleached out and drew so it was kind of like this glowing fairy creature I was interacting with. Wisteria has seen the original.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they are
You
now.
know, I don't think I've seen the ones with the creature in them. I only seen
Oh,
you like looking at nothing.
okay.
But maybe I'll get to see them when I come back.
Yeah, I have to find him.
No, they're not at your place. They're at your parents' place. I was promised more insights in your life.
What? My parents have it?
I think so, yeah.
Well, that would explain why I can't find it. So I think he's getting zapped by the egg.
Doesn't that happen every morning, Wismore?
Yeah.
Trying to make scrambled eggs and the eggs scramble.
Oh yeah, the egg scrambled his brains.
Uh-oh.
Was that an unexpected twist? Were you expecting that?
Yeah, I was. It's even in a pan,
Yeah.
ready to be fried. Can I give a short insight into how we work with like photographs?
Okay.
It's a fun fact is that for the past 2 covers, that one was released, one isn't yet, for like commission work. The figures in the painting are actually Wismore photographed, and we worked based off of him. So he's like the muse of all the commissions that I did lately. He was helping with the poses, and I would take pictures of him.
Yeah. You did make it into one of the covers with the lady that was holding the oar.
Yeah, but it's you that appears twice now.
Yeah.
Do you like posing for a noble cause?
I wouldn't say I like it, but I don't mind doing it. And I have been doing it pretty much my whole art career. Posing and working off of photo reference.
Yeah.
Even
That's the attitude of a trooper. Sorry.
even bro, I think I'll start calling him Ernie. Because
Ernie?
we were Bert and Ernie back in the day.
No.
So Ernie we used to like trade photo references. So we'd take pictures of each other for our art because he's an artist too. Well, I don't know if I can show all that. So we'll just,
Were those sea monkeys?
maybe.
Go back.
I can't look.
Let me look. Go backwards more.
They're from the ocean.
Yeah, go back.
Okay, I think this is a safe page.
Yeah, they're like the ads for sea monkeys. Did you guys ever had sea monkeys? I saw ads for it in Romania, but it was now not a thing that you can buy. I want to know if anybody else lived my dream of having sea monkeys.
Yeah, so this is even a Marvel magazine, and they have, topless women. It's not NSFW.
But at the same time, you get nervous when you flip through them.
Yeah, I don't know if Twitch will hit me. I don't think YouTube will.
I think I did once. Like, you were not sure. Or they were just there and you did not grow them. Whisper, do you know what sea monkeys are?
Yeah, they were actually in a lot of these comic books as advertisements to buy them.
My mom used to say that they are fleas, but I doubt fleas live underwater.
They are some kind of like water pest, but they're not fleas. Maybe they're sea fleas. Maybe they act like a flea would in water. I don't know.
I see. The water ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The water sea monkeys. So this is weird that they have black and white in color, and they're mixing the two different page types, paper types for color.
Do you like it or not?
I prefer the matte paper to the like this to the shiny paper because of the glare.
Yeah.
But this doesn't really hold. It doesn't hold color as well, but it does work with our kind of color style. So I would like to
Yeah.
go with this kind of paper and do just the not mixed colors.
DB says, yeah, they were just little shrimp things, I think. I only once mentioned to my mom that I'm fascinated by them, and if I had any, I would scoop them up with a spoon and eat them for some reason. And I think after that, she was like, yeah, no, we don't have these here. We're not gonna give you any.
You don't want them getting out like aphids and causing
No, she did
havoc.
not want me to eat them.
They're, yeah, not edible shrimp. Maybe they would be parasites.
Maybe.
So this book didn't have too many ads like the other comic books we look at, or
No, apparently
magazines.
they had ads for black magic.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what this is. It's for a Necronomicon. This
Fun
was.
fact.
Go ahead.
What?
This was a H.P. Lovecraft idea. I think there was actually a story he wrote called the Necronomicon.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
See that crystal ball?
Oh.
It's not like a common thing that people would have in their houses, right?
Right.
Especially not like my generation, for example, that just buys stuff just because it's aesthetic or something. So like people from the communist time. After my aunt passed away, she had this kind of ball wrapped in a velvet cloth in a closet.
Oh, wow.
As to what she did with it, I don't know.
She won't admit to what she's used it for.
No, she mentioned it at some point, but I did not believe her because reasons. She said that she used it at some point for some sort of like rituals, I suppose. I don't know, black magic, something. She did something with it, looking through the future or whatever. And she had to keep it covered.
This was really expensive. $50 back in the day.
That's not much.
No, back in the day from 81, that'd be a few $100s now.
What? So that's how I learned that my family had interesting hobbies.
Maybe not a few $100s, maybe $100. We finally found it. I saw up here.
Meanwhile, Three Thunders was busy the entire stream just like shoveling dirt to find something.
Dug it up in his backyard. Where did I hide it?
TP says that's house money.
Yeah.
Something I find wild is like when you see a small price for something from like the 20s and then you're like, oh, it was not that much, don't be dramatic, but it was actually a lot. And I can't comprehend it. I don't know, my little brain doesn't wrap around it.
Hope you don't mind that I'm sharing Three Thunders. This is the Lady Death that he unearthed. Oh, this is like the medieval one. A medieval tale. I have actually flipped through this one. I do not own it, but I have flipped through it. From 2003. And I think it has like a different origin story. So it was specifically Brian Polito's. Yeah, and I think she's a witch in this one. Coming out with the video for Lady Death, really? I'm surprised that there hasn't been one already. She's such a popular figure.
Gameplay on stream.
But yeah, I think she's always been kind of like part of an independent comics company. So never got pulled into any like DC or Marvel movies or anything because she's not associated with any of those characters. There has been a Lady Death Vampirella crossover event, even though they're from different publishing companies.
Apparently she was connected to the Eldritch Realm.
Oh. Yeah, that was a cool one. Got good taste there, bub.
Bob.
Bub.
Guys, I learned something new. Did you know that you can tell anybody that Bob is their uncle?
How's that?
Oh, you told me that when you say something and you can end it with Bob's your uncle, it makes sense.
Yeah, so this was an interesting foray through the labyrinth of pop culture. Pop culture that really predates me. Probably everybody in our audience as well. Because I doubt anybody here is in their 70s.
I am.
And I discovered that I don't have all of the Sandman graphic novels. I'm missing 2. I've only got 2 here to show off today.
So you have 1 and 2 from the beginning?
The ones I'm missing are Dream Country and Fables and Reflections, which I remember Fables and Reflections being my favorite after I looked it up, because it has all of these folklore references. And it goes in the tale of Orpheus. It's called the Song of Orpheus.
DB says it has a lot to do with how you say it. Well, I'm gonna say it later when we end the stream.
Okay. But I still have a bunch of other things we can flip through on a different comic book stream. I haven't shared everything. Is that scary?
No,
That there's
I'm
more
excited.
hidden among my shelves?
There are plentiful shelves. Oh, I gonna share a game idea while everybody's here and they can say yay or nay.
Okay.
I got on Steam for like first time in years, whatever, and I saw an ad for a game called Bum Simulator.
Bum Simulator?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's what it sounds like. You play as a bum and then you do things to piss off everybody, I guess.
Interesting.
And then you run from the police and you like search through to trash to find items.
So you've always wanted to be a bum?
No, but I was amused by how for like 2 days straight I was not calling them bums, I was calling them butts and nobody said anything. So do you want to play with more?
I wouldn't mind checking out. There's lots of games I'd like to do on stream. It's just
Like finish Cyberpunk.
yeah. Yeah. And that V
it-
Rising looked pretty cool too.
Yeah. And I want one for my soul, even for my birthday if you'd like. I want to play Goat Simulator.
Oh, that would be a good one. I was trying to see. Oh, okay. This is from 2003, so it looks like it's post graphic novels.
Post-apocalypse.
Exclusive,
Pretenders is amused.
I think, by the Goat Simulator.
Ah.
Exclusive first showing of Dream's story, The Heart of a Star.
DB says, "Oh, I have cool news."
Oh, let's hear.
Which is the way that you get into that case, Wismore? Where do you crack it open?
Somewhere on the sides. Oh, I got 2 cracks. No, I got 3 cracks. Wow.
The gremlins really beat it up.
I'm currently reading this werewolf book. It's a bunch of short stories about werewolves. And something that I didn't know until, going through it, is there is a lost chapter to Bram Stoker's Dracula called Dracula's Guest.
Mm.
It was the original first chapter of that story. And it was taken out by the publisher because they said it was already too long. And it's actually about a werewolf.
What?
Yeah, so I haven't gotten through this story yet. I just really kind of started it. But
When I come over, may I read it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or can you put a sign there?
It's not too long. It's like 10 pages.
Will you read it to me then?
Sure.
I have my blanket, I have my pudding, we are ready.
We got a what? Yeah. But there's actually some really cool stuff in here. Like one of the first werewolf stories from the 1800s is actually really well written. And I want to do some adaptations because this is old stuff that's in public domain.
So to do comics of it?
Yeah, because they're short stories. They're really easy to fit into a short comic. This Werewolf by Clemence Hausman. Bet nobody's heard of her, but it's a really good story.
Well, I vote with Three Thunders. He says I prefer Bear Simulator.
Bear Simulator? I didn't know that was a real book.
It's not a book.
I'm
It's
sorry,
like
game.
Simulator.
Game. I got book on the mind. Where was that? So this was from 1896 from Hausman, and this is one that I want to illustrate in our first anthology.
How many books are you currently reading at the same time?
According to Goodreads, I think it's 4.
And according to you?
Maybe 5.
And according to me?
Yeah, that's not including the comic books. So I'm reading Super Mob about history in America of the mafia. I'm reading this. I'm also reading something here. Got it within arm's reach. The Interdimensional Universe by Philip and Brogno. And Brogno.
That's like a VTuber name. Hello, my name is Bronyo. It's like a My Little Pony fan that says yo.
The New Science of UFOs, Paranormal Phenomena, and Other Dimensional Beings.
And you still need to get to that the Native American book and the unicorn book that you bought.
Yeah, I haven't started those. So that's 3. Do I have it out? I don't remember what else I was in the middle of, so I guess I'm down to 3.
My cool news, I got creating visual novels in Godot down, moving to 2D next.
What?
That is awesome.
Very cool.
So what does that mean? That you get to draw, or do you have like a concept, or tell me? I'm interested.
Yeah,
I feel like that's such an exciting part. We can vicariously live through you.
He's working on a visual novel. I've been playing around with Godot and seeing what I'm able to do with it, so we haven't really chosen our first game to focus on. But we've got a few things that have a little bit started.
Oh, I still need to give you those courses.
Yeah. I was waiting until after you're done with all of these waitlists and comms.
Nah. Just learning the tools to make them.
Yeah.
That's the tricksy part. What's the tricksy part?
Learning the tools.
Oh.
But all the games that we do, we're gonna do 2D, no 3D stuff.
Doesn't they just look better 2D?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
While 3D is good for movement and environments, I think just animated sprites, they don't have to be 18-bit or 8-bit or whatever. Sprites, just animated sprites, I think always look better than a 3D figure.
I'm gonna start with an isometric of some sort and separate the ideas as I go along.
Very
cool. I
cool.
think this is how we started. I had this visual development page for our game on Ko-Fi, and it had an isometric view of the room where Wisteria would do her potions, and it had an isometric view of a kind of like a oven. Was it an oven?
Your cauldron?
Yeah.
So it was a fireplace with a cauldron in it.
Yeah. So maybe I'll look up some of the isometric tutorials, give them to you.
Yeah, I did a 1 week free on Zenva, and I got a lot of courses from that.
And there's still more to go.
Yeah. So did we make our way out of the labyrinth, or are we still stuck in Destiny's Garden?
I think we made our way out. Everybody found their path from the distant past to present.
Yeah. So we saw Three Thunders progress through the garden. and yours and mine, and a little bit of D-Bad's. They showed us some secret doors. And we had some appearances by Lady Death.
And by ABC Strong Lad.
Yeah. So, it was a good stream. I wouldn't say it was the best stream, but it was a good stream. And maybe now we're going to be more in the flow and get a good start next stream.
Can we do Cyberpunk next?
Sure. I think that'd be good.
Do you want the Glade raid?
Yeah, I'm looking to see who we can raid.
Yanak.
Oh, Yonak's on? Yep, that's it. He's playing The Witcher. Give him some love.
Can I do the outro, please?
Go for it.
We had fun with you. Thank you for joining us. And keep reading comics, and don't forget that Bob is your uncle. Catch you out in the wild.